Many entrepreneurs build businesses within the systems they know, the tax structures they understand, the borders they grew up in. But today's guest has spent much of his career helping founders think much bigger than that. Welcome, or hopefully welcome back to The Reluctant Entrepreneur. My guest today, Bobby Casey, has started, bought, or sold more than a dozen companies while living in 10 different countries and traveling through 80 more. I thought I was a road warrior. Along the way, he developed deep expertise in international tax strategy and global business structuring, eventually founding Global Wealth Protection to help entrepreneurs protect their assets, minimize taxes, and design businesses that are truly portable. What makes Bobby especially interesting is that he combines technical expertise with firsthand entrepreneurial experience. He understands both the legal complexity and the real-world challenges founders face when they try to scale, expand internationally, or simply build a life with more freedom. In the first part of our conversation, we'll explore Bobby's entrepreneurial journey. Then in the second half of the show, we'll dive into how entrepreneurs can think differently about taxes, global opportunity, and building businesses that are resilient in a changing world. And this all begins right now. Stick around. Hey, Bobby, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
As have I. Let's kind of start at the beginning. What first pulled you forward toward entrepreneurship, and what was the first business you started that made you realize that this could actually be a career?
Yeah. So I've actually never had a real job. Like as an adult, I've never had a real job. I mean, I had jobs like as a kid. Like,
right.
I started working when I was around 12, doing, hustling stuff, like mowing yards and that kind of thing, and cutting trees down and stuff like that. And I had like normal jobs as a kid. Like, I worked at the grocery store, I worked at the go-kart track, I unloaded trucks for UPS, worked at the golf course, stuff like that. But I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. My grandpa had a chain of restaurants. That was before I was even born. He actually retired before I was born, but he had a chain of restaurants. My dad, since I was very small, like 2 or 3 years old, he had a construction company and real estate development. So for me, the whole mantra, go to school, get good grades, go to a good college and go work in the corporate world, that was never a mantra I ever heard. Like, it was never, like, right. I don't know, even since I was a small kid, I mean, you could say maybe it was, nurture or nature, maybe a little bit of both, but I always had a very independent freedom mindset. Like, I couldn't even fathom the idea. Like, as a kid, of course, I needed money, so I went and got some jobs, but I never had the mindset like, man, I got to get out there and rise through the ranks in the corporate world. Like, I don't ever remember that being a thought that passed through my brain. So I
kind
guess,
of a born entrepreneur, or at least you were born with an entrepreneurial spirit anyway. You may not have realized where that was going to take you.
Or I was born with a stubborn, independent spirit that made me realize I was probably unemployable because there's no one would keep me for like, I've said it before, like, at this point in my life, if all my businesses crashed down, I would actually probably be homeless before I got a job. Because not even by default. Like, I don't even think I could get a job. I think if somebody hired me, they'd probably fire me within like a couple weeks or a month or something.
You would be surprised, or maybe not, how many times that theme has come up on the show. And we talk about that regularly because we've all come to the conclusion that we can't fail because there is no plan B other than reinvent plan A again, right? But
yeah,
entrepreneurs...
I've burned all the bridges, if that's what you mean.
Well,
yeah,
we burn the bridges, we draw outside the lines, we break rules, we don't do stupid. We just don't do stupid. We're not very PC. we're very bull in a china shop, like, right? And, we get a vision, we put the blinders on, we charge toward that vision, to hell with everything in between, and we just get stuff done, or at least that's our intent. And we are
Yeah.
terrible employees, and we are also very difficult to work with. I don't know if you've experienced that with staff, but we can be founders, entrepreneur type people, which are generally creative people, are very difficult to work with. We're very frustrating to work with. It's not like we're bad. We're not evil bosses. We're just frustrating because we tend to get excited about the shiny object in the corner, and that shiny object changes from day to day. And then we get bored very quickly and move on to other things. I don't know if that's just the world according to Mike, or if you see yourself in those statements as well.
Oh, we have a joke in my company. I mean, we're small business, but we have a joke in my company that if we actually had a professional HR department, I would definitely be the first one that gets fired.
Oh yeah,
100%. I would definitely be the first one to get fired. Like I wouldn't make it long at all if we ever get to the point, which we will, I mean, that's the plan. But if we ever get to the point in one of my companies that we sell it and I have to work like in a transitional period for the changeover, I probably won't make it long. Like I think I'll probably get fired within the first couple of months. Eventually they'll just be like, yeah, we can't have you talking to other employees like that. Like,
bye, Bobby. Bye, Bobby. Yeah. Time to go.
Yeah. Which is funny. Like I did sell a company years ago, and actually I had in the sale, I had a 1 year. I mean, this is a long time ago, but I had a 1 year
contractual obligation.
To work through and I made it 2 months. Like I got fired after 2 months. So like,
but you sold the company.
It's not like I'm speaking. Yeah, I'm not speculating. I'm speaking from experience here.
Yeah. It's not high. There's no question. So
I started. To answer the previous question, I started my first company. I guess actual company when I was 19, which failed. I started another one when I was 20, which failed, and then I started one when I was 21 that actually did pretty well. That's the one I ended up selling in my 30s. That did pretty well. So that would be. If you want to hear about startups, that would be kind of probably the one we would talk about.
Yeah. Well, speaking of startups, you've started, bought, or sold more than a dozen companies, at least. Was there a particular early experience, whether it's success or failure? You talked about the first two that failed, and the third, you kind of hit a home run. Was there a particular early experience that shaped how you approach business today? In other words, business 1, fail. Business 2, fail. Business 3, success. Did that cause you to pivot how you did business 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, whatever?
Oh, probably a million things, but I just had something that did pop in my mind about that. I want to just rewind just for a second.
Sure.
We talked about the independent mindset. I just wanted to make a quick note. Yeah. I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. My dad had this construction company, pretty decent size, probably doing about, by the time I was like 18, 19 years old, probably doing 40, 50 million a year construction company.
Yeah, good size.
And the plan was I was supposed to graduate and then come work in the company. But my older brother was like the number 2 in the company. And even then, I was just too independent. I'm like, no, I'm not working for either one of you, my dad or my brother. Like, because I knew my dad eventually would retire, probably 10, 15 years. But then my brother would be another 10 or 15 years before he retired. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm the boss. Like, even that at 18, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to work another 20 to 30 years before I get to be the boss. This is ridiculous. No way. So yeah, I never went and worked even one day. Never worked in their company. But like I definitely had the path there. Like you can easily step into this. Like I could have stepped in at probably 20 years old, with easily, and I'm 51. So 30 years ago, I could have stepped in easily with like a low 6-figure salary and which was kind of funny because I'm like, absolutely not. And I think I made like when I was 21, I probably made like $9,000 the whole year or something like
Right.
that. But I was like, no, absolutely not. Like the money, I'm not money motivated. Like a lot of people think entrepreneurs are super money motivated. Maybe some are. I'm not. From a business standpoint, I'm value driven. I want to provide value to my client. The money always follows the value anyway.
Yeah.
But even with money, my lifestyle doesn't ever change. Like I could probably live my life on $40,000 a year and be completely fine. Whether I make 40,000, 400,000, or 40 million, really nothing would change in my life because I'm just not money driven.
Same old Bobby.
Business is a game. Business is a game, and I like playing the game. The defining moment you mentioned, was there a moment? The thing that popped into my head. So my first, let's call it the company that did well when I was like 20 or 21 that I started. I started a company. We assembled bicycles for Walmart. So if you've ever walked into a Walmart, obviously you have. I don't think there's anybody left in America that's not walked into a Walmart. But you walk in the toy section, you see all the rows and rows of assembled bicycles. So we were one of the companies that were contractors that worked for Walmart that went in and assembled the bicycles at the store because they come in packaged in a box, but Walmart sells all their bicycles assembled. So I started that company. So that would have been 1995-ish or 96, something like that, 95, 96. And Walmart was our biggest customer, and we took off pretty quick. I say pretty quick, like, depends on what you're comparing it to, but we hit 7 figures in revenue in 3 years. So we did pretty well, and then it grew from there. And in 95, so that in the year 2000 or 2001, again, this is like a long time ago. It's a little bit foggy on the dates, but 2001, Walmart was our biggest customer. We did a little bit of other stuff. We did some bike assembly for Toys R Us. We did some lawn and garden and barbecue assembly a little bit for Lowe's. We did a couple of other smaller things. But Walmart accounted for half or even more, maybe 60% of our revenue at this point. So Walmart alone was already a 7-figure contract for us. So we were very heavily into one client, like way too much into one client. And I remember the date. It was December 27th. It was either 2000 or 2001, but at my office, I got a certified letter from Bentonville, Arkansas, Walmart headquarters. And it was a 1-page letter that said, effective today, your contract with Walmart is canceled. By close of business today, you need to have all of your company representatives out of our stores. Today will be the last day we accept an invoice for payment. Literally, wow. We had no notice, not even a 1-day notice. I got a certified letter that said, as of today, I want all your people out of the store. Like, it was brutal.
Wow.
It was over half of our revenue. I ended up the week after Christmas having to fire over half of our staff, office and field staff. I mean, it was brutal. And so that lesson taught me early on that you need to diversify every aspect of your business. Where you get like your customer, who your customers are, the way you get your customers, even your team members. If you've got a really good CFO, then you need to already be training like a controller to roll into that CFO position. Like, I even look at team diversification. I don't want to be reliant on any one point of failure in my business ever again. And that was a big defining moment for me, is to never be reliant on a single point of failure in any business. So like now in my company, BusinessAnywhere, the biggest lever for our business, because it's completely online, we're effectively a SaaS business, but it's completely online. And so the biggest lever in our business is traffic, online traffic. And we have multiple channels where we target for traffic. And for example, if we relied solely on Google ads, but then Google's algorithm changes, or maybe Google says, hey, we don't like your business model anymore. If I relied solely on that one channel for business, I'm out of business. I'm done. Like we're completely dead in the water at that point. And so, like, I think everything within your business, you need to look at any single point of failure you can have in your business and find a solution for that single point of failure. Because holy shit, that letter I got on December 27th, it was gut wrenching. Like first of all, more than half my revenue went away. But second, I had to fire half of my employees the week of Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. So after that point in that business, we immediately went out. We dove deeper into Lowe's. We ended up getting into Home Depot. We went into sporting goods chains like Sports Authority, Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy Sports, Sports Chalet. And then we also went direct to consumer, where we did home installations for assembled products like basketball goals, home sporting goods equipment, outdoor and indoor play equipment, stuff like that. So we diversified, so we're not only reliant on the store installations, and then we started to do both to like dramatically diversify.
Right.
Yeah, big moment.
So today you've at least two companies. I'm hesitant to say even two companies because it might be 222 companies as far as I know. But two companies I'm aware of. One is BusinessAnywhere, and the other is something about global something, right?
Global wealth protection.
Thank you. Global wealth protection. I didn't have that written down.
Right.
Tell me about global wealth protection first, and then
Sure.
we'll kind of get into BusinessAnywhere. So my understanding is global wealth protection helps business owners protect their wealth, to secure it, to maybe maximize tax strategies, and I was going to say loopholes, but loopholes has a negative connotation to it. Loopholes are legal, totally legal, but for some reason, people who don't take advantage of it call it a loophole. We call it a strategy. But at any rate, talk to me about that business, and then we'll kind of get into BusinessAnywhere.
Yeah, so everything kind of in my career, and I think a lot of people in the entrepreneurial world, I think it's very common. You see a hole in the marketplace and you're like, I could do that cheaper, better, or faster, right? I mean, that's basically it, right?
Sure.
It's rare it happens. Somebody creates a new thing like AI, right? Like AI is kind of a new thing happening now. I mean, I say it's kind of new. I mean, you had sci-fi writers writing about AI in the 50s, but like for practical use, we've only had AI as a tool we can use in the past couple of years.
Sure.
But that's an anomaly, in my opinion. Like a brand new thing that didn't exist and now exists, that's kind of an anomaly. In the entrepreneurial space, usually we look at an opportunity in the marketplace. We see something and we're like, I could do this better, I could do this faster, or I could do this more efficiently and cheaper. And that's kind of how most businesses get started. So, and that's exactly what happened with me. And this is what's kind of happened across like all the businesses I've started. I saw an opportunity. I'm like, hey, we could do this over here. Let's do that. So rewind back into my 20s, I had this assembly and installation company that was doing really well. I also, at this point, had a restaurant. I had bought and built up a restaurant. I had a real estate business, and I started to see like I had some holes in my structure from an asset protection standpoint and also from a tax optimization standpoint. So I hired somebody like me to come in and analyze what was going on and how to restructure things to protect my assets and also maybe some tax optimization strategies. Anyway, I hired that guy. I loved the process that I went through with him. We're still friends to this day. And I was going to say at that time, but actually still today. But basically, all of my friends are entrepreneurs. I don't really have friends with jobs because, like, from a freedom perspective, I'm also a motorcycle guy, and I want to call my buddies up and say, hey, let's go ride motorcycles on Thursday. I don't have friends with jobs because they can't do that.
They don't have to call in sick.
Buddies are like, yeah. My entrepreneur buddies are like, sure, let's meet at Starbucks at 10 o'clock and we'll go ride for the day. So at that time and still today, all my friends were entrepreneurs. And I went to this guy that I hired. His name was Bob, by the way. I went to Bob and I said, hey, look, I got a bunch of buddies that are entrepreneurs that could use exactly the same thing you did for me. Can I bring those clients in and we work together? I really want to learn how to do this. And we can kind of share the profit on these clients. And he's like, sure. Yeah, why not? I'll take clients however I can get them. So that's kind of the early stages of how Global Wealth Protection got started. Keep in mind also, as I mentioned earlier, I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. So even when I was 14, like sitting around the dinner table with my dad, we would talk about like, should this company be an S Corp or a C Corp or maybe an LLC? And how do we optimize for taxes? Like all that stuff was normal conversation for me when I was 14. So it wasn't like new stuff. I started
you grew up with the concept of business. You knew business terms as much as you knew, faces on a baseball card, I'm sure, right? Not many kids sit around the table and talk about S Corps and things like that.
So that was normal stuff for me already at that point. So I started doing that consulting, kind of along with Bob, my mentor at the time, while I was running the other businesses, because to me, it was really interesting to work with other entrepreneurs solving puzzles. Like that's basically what I do is solve puzzles. And over time, I just, worked with a few clients, and then I decided I had kind of a big, let's call it a life-changing moment around 2007. And so I got out of all my other businesses and sold them. And I started doing the consulting full time. And that's in 2009, I formalized that into a business, which became Global Wealth Protection. And that's also when I got really heavily involved in the international component. I was traveling a lot. At this point, I've probably been 80 plus countries. I've lived in like 10 countries. I've legally immigrated to 7. Like I've actually gone through the legal process to immigrate into 7 different countries.
Wow.
And living in that world and that space, I ran into other people like me who were location independent entrepreneurs, running businesses, either living outside their home country or they had business outside their home country. So that just kind of became my niche because that's just kind of how my life flowed.
Sure.
And Global Wealth Protection, that's what we do. We work with location independent entrepreneurs, helping them with company structure, tax optimization, residency planning, that type of thing. So like for me, like a typical client could be an American who maybe has an e-commerce business selling in the North American marketplace, and maybe he spends half the year in Mexico, half the year in Thailand. Like that's a normal client for me. Whereas you're a local CPA in Southern California, that's not normal for them.
Right.
Maybe they get 1 out of 10,000 clients with a weird situation like that. But I specialize in that weird niche.
Right. You've talked about helping entrepreneurs move away from what you call high tax, high friction systems. What are some of the most common mistakes business owners make when trying to optimize taxes or protect assets?
Like what are some of the biggest mistakes? Entrepreneurs in general, me, you, and every other entrepreneur like us, we're heavily focused on the next thing. the next product, the next hire, the next sale, the next project, the next thing. What are the things we all hate as entrepreneurs? Paperwork, right? We all hate the paperwork. We hate doing bookkeeping. So we outsource bookkeeping. We hate that. We hate legal structure. We hate dealing with that stuff because as entrepreneurs, it's just not in our purview to want to deal with those
things. It's not exciting.
We don't care about it.
Yeah, it's
It's not
buzzkill.
exciting. It's complete buzzkill. And so the biggest mistake I see with entrepreneurs when it comes to tax optimization and asset protection planning is not prioritizing it and not taking the time and energy to go deal with it. So a lot of people will finally, like I did in my 20s when I had these businesses and started thinking I need to do something about it. Well, a lot of people will say, oh, I'll just figure it out on my own. Well, you're not the expert, so figuring out on your own can lead to tons of hours of research, or nowadays asking ChatGPT questions, hoping it gives you a decent answer. But very often, if you do say, well, I really need to deal with this, you don't go hire a professional to do it. Maybe at some point you're like, okay, let me talk to my accountant. But like sometimes the accountant's not the right person to talk to for strategic planning. Actually, very rarely is your accountant the right person to talk to for strategic planning because of their mindset and the way they've been trained going through university for accounting and all this stuff. So very often entrepreneurs just don't take the time and energy to properly plan for this stuff. And in my experience, very often I don't hear from an entrepreneur until they've had the oh shit moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just got sued for $5 million. What do I do? And for obvious reasons, that's very difficult to deal with that situation after the fact.
Right.
If we had a structure in place before the oh shit moment, well, there's a lot we can do to protect you, to keep assets out of your own name, to make sure you have some protection, legal protections in place, some privacy in place for your assets, using, company structures and trust and that sort of thing. But if you already had that oh shit moment, sometimes there's some things that can be done, but you definitely don't have a bulletproof strategy if you've already had that moment.
Well, I think that most, I was involved years ago when I first started my business. My former employer sued me and lost, but of course we all lost because we had to pay way more money than we had at the time in legal fees. But in most cases, not all, but in most cases, unless it's an emotional suit like this one was, like mine was, if you're not a target, meaning you're not a plump meal to eat, you're a scrawny little thing with no meat on its bones, meaning they do a check on you before they sue you and they go, oh man, this guy's got everything locked up. He's in 9,000 different countries and everything's locked up and everything's protected. Don't bother because there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow there. So
that's the analogy I use every time, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, good. And I think there is a strategy to not just avoid a large loss or a large settlement, but to make yourself not a target in the first place. I guess the best advice would be don't do things that get you sued. But I can speak from firsthand experience that sometimes you get sued even though you didn't do anything to deserve that. So, I was on that side of it. But the second strategy is
you're going to get sued.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in
it's just a matter of
business,
time.
at some point, you're going to get sued.
Yes,
It's
I totally
unavoidable.
agree. I've been in business 34 years, and yes, that's just kind of par for the course, which is why we have lawyers and retainers and things like that. However, I think one of the other strategies is, particularly in lawsuits that are a little bit bogus, slip and fall type lawsuits, right? I think the strategy of beyond just not getting sued would be don't make yourself a target. So A, don't do things wrong that could legitimately get you sued, and B, don't have a prize, a door price for
Sure.
suing you. Because a lot of companies will just pay to make it go away, which is probably part of the strategy. But if there is plenty of money that they just can't get to, most wise attorneys will go, hey, we're not taking this, unless you want to pay us a giant money up front, nothing on contingency. We're not touching it because there's no way.
Right.
But
Well, you make a good point with contingency stuff. Like, I look at asset protection planning kind of like I like to use a lot of visual references, but kind of like an old medieval Scottish castle. And so that old medieval Scottish castle, you've seen them in the movies, right? Or maybe you've been to one. Well, what do they have? They have a moat around it. They have the drawbridge. They have the outer wall, the inner tower, all that stuff.
And the guards with bows and arrows and flamethrowers and hot tar at the top.
Right. So there's multiple layers of protection with that old medieval Scottish castle. So with asset protection planning, I treat it the same way. It's layers. So layer one, we actually talked about it pre-show a little bit, is layer one is don't expose yourself personally in public record. So, like, for example, if I have a business and, I don't know, just let's say I live in Des Moines, Iowa, I've got a business in Des Moines, Iowa, and maybe I've got 10 rental properties and, some other assets and stuff like that. Well, if I had 10 rental properties and they're all in my own name, they're all deeded into my own name. So the first piece of that is the privacy component. Like, if I, let's say it's you, let's say I'm suing you and you got this business and 10 rental properties in your own name. And I don't know, you look like a tough guy, Mike. You get in a bar fight, you beat somebody up at the bar and, you break his jaw and his family sues you for $1 million. Well, if I'm the lawyer representing that guy, like you said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go do a check on this Mike character to see if there is this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that's pretty easy to do in public record. I just do a public record search. I look on real estate. Oh, look, here's 10 houses that Mike has, he's on the deed for. Oh, I pulled up his credit report. I've seen this. Oh, he's got a Amex Platinum card. So I know he must make at least enough money to get approved for an Amex Platinum. Oh, I see he has a mortgage on his own property for $500,000. Oh, I look on the public record and see the tax value of that house is $2 million. He's got at least $1.5 million net worth in his own house. Like, all these little, and I could do all of this in 20, 30 minutes.
Sure.
And if I'm the lawyer representing that other client, I'm going to go back to that client and say, sure, I'd love to take this case.
Contingency.
Why don't we do this on a 50% contingency? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, ka-ching, like, all I'm going to do is put liens on all your properties and either force you into foreclosure or just wait out the time and wait for you to sell something and collect on it.
Yep.
But the flip side to that is, if you had all of those houses in properly structured LLCs where your name is not disclosed in public record, if you have everything kind of not in your own name, you're not using your home address anywhere, and I'm the lawyer and I go do that record search on you, I'm going to say, who is this guy? Like, does he live under a bridge? Is he homeless? Like, where does this guy even live? Like, I know nothing about him.
Yeah, you may get a judgment, but you're not going to get a settlement.
Well, but before you even get to that point, if I'm the lawyer,
you're not going to take it.
And I can't see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Well, I might take it, but I'll go to my client and say, I'd love to take this case against Mike. I think you got a great case here. I'm going to need a $20,000 retainer to get started.
Yeah.
And very often, the client is like, I don't know if I want to drop 20 grand on a legal retainer on the possibility of not getting paid. So, and that very often is how frivolous litigation goes away. So you got like the ambulance chasing lawyers. It's all the frivolous litigation. And then you've got the whole industry with class action lawyers. I mean, that whole industry is crazy. Like, I had, I'm sure you know, Mike, but your listeners, class action lawyers, the whole business model for class action lawsuits is the law firm itself goes and finds a business they want to attack. They find some little problem they think they can pinpoint, and then they go find clients of this this company and say, hey, we think you're owed money. Sign this to join the lawsuit.
Yeah,
they get
join
enough
the class.
signatures, they have a
Yeah.
class action lawsuit against you.
And ironically, each one of the people who signed it get an 85-cent coupon, for a discount, and
Right.
millions of dollars go to the attorneys, and all of that.
It's a whole
So,
business model.
Yeah.
It's a whole, but the people get that letter in the mail or the email saying, hey, we can go after XYZ entity and we think you've been wronged. Like I had a client, I have a funny story with that. I have two clients that came to me about the same time a few years ago. One was an existing client. We had registered his LLC for him in Florida, and we were the registered agent. So his name was nowhere in public records. By the way, registering your own entities, do-it-yourself company formation is probably the biggest legal mistake anyone ever makes in starting their own business. So we can jump on that topic in a minute, but if you want. But this guy came to me. He was an existing client. We registered his company. We were his registered agent. So we got served as registered agent. We got served the legal documents. He had been a class action lawsuit. He had a supplement company in Florida. They said whatever. They didn't like his product. They sued him for, I don't know, a couple of $1 million. And he came to me for consulting, for advice, and said, what should I do? And I said, well, and I explained, I said, most of these class action lawsuits, if you don't respond, they usually go away anyway, because the lawyer is not going to continue to put billable hours towards something when they don't see that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And so in most cases, if you ignore it, it goes away after 3 or 4 months anyway, because I mean, most of these class action lawsuits are all complete bogus nonsense. So he said, are you sure? And I'm like, look, this is what I would do in your case. Do what you want. He ended up ignoring it, and it went away. They just gave up because he wasn't responding. So, and ironically, the same month that happened, I had another guy come to me, also in Florida, also with a supplement company, also had a class action lawsuit. And the difference is this guy had registered his own LLC. And it's so funny because he came to me for consulting what to do because he's been sued, if there's anything he can do after the fact going forward. And I said, we can't really do anything after the fact because that'll be considered fraudulent conveyance, which could be civil. It can also be criminal. But we can restructure you going forward to protect you from this. And so we talked about that. But because he had registered the entity himself, he was his own registered agent. Not only that, he made him and his wife on there in the public record. So when the lawsuit came, they found the company, they found him and his wife as the registered agent and also as the LLC organizer. And so they named him and his wife both personally in the lawsuit, and they were serving him at home. And they always come like at dinner time, annoying your family, right? Process servers, that's what they do. And he ended up having to settle it because they named him personally, and he settled for about $800,000. It's ironic, but I had these two situations happen in exactly the same month, in exactly the same situation, but two little bit different circumstances.
Wow.
So, like the privacy aspect of it alone very often washes away at least the frivolous litigation.
Sure. You talked
Having
about
the structure in place helps.
You talked about a big mistake that people, that business owners make. Something to do with, was it registering something? Remind me what that was.
Okay, yeah. So and this is always like with new business owners or real estate investors. This is also a big issue with real estate investors. I don't know if you deal with any real estate investing, but if you buy
no, I don't.
investment
I don't.
property, well, if you buy investment property, and you're getting an investor mortgage to buy the property, those mortgage companies always require you to put the property in an LLC because they want to be protected also. So that's like a big target, like audience or demographic for our BusinessAnywhere clients. We register a lot of LLCs for real estate investors for that reason. And so real estate investors always, like, very often do this, and also new business owners, is they'll start their entity, and they live in whatever, Texas, and they say, oh, well, I don't need to pay this registered agent or this company formation provider this couple $100 to register my company. I could do it myself online and save a couple $100. Well, yes, you can do that. It is technically possible to do that, just like it's also technically possible for me to change the oil in my car. But that doesn't mean it's a smart thing to do or a good use of my resources, right?
Right.
I can also mow my own grass at my house. It doesn't mean it's a good idea for me to do it or it's a smart use of my resources, right? But I find this very common with new business owners and real estate investors. Like, I'm going to save the $200 a year for the registered agent service and do it myself. Well, the problem when you do that, if you go through the process on the Secretary of State website to register your LLC or corporation, you're going to come to a section where you have to provide information about the registered agent of the company and then also the organizer of the company. So the registered agent is a legal requirement in every state. You register an entity in Texas, or California, or Florida, North Carolina, wherever, you have to have a registered agent in that state. A registered agent is a legal address associated with your company for that state. And the legal requirement is actually, a lot of people don't even meet this legal requirement, but the legal requirement is you have to be available during business hours, Monday through Friday, 52 weeks out of the year, in case you get served a document. If you get served, nobody signs for it, the Secretary of State can actually just dissolve your entity because you didn't have a proper registered agent. And a lot of people choose to be their own registered agent to save that couple $100 a year. What you don't realize is you now just wrote your name and your home or business address down in public record.
Sure.
Forever available in public records. Now, using the guy in Florida's example, like, from a legal perspective, that was a bad idea for him because they ended up adding him and his wife to the lawsuit. But I mean, like, there's a lot of crazy people out there who can have some pretty nefarious intent that's maybe not even related to business. Like,
and through your BusinessAnywhere company, do you offer your services as a registered agent?
Yes,
for companies? Okay, so that is the workaround to have.
And as organizer. So the other part, when you're doing that filing with Secretary of State, a lot of people even make this mistake. They say, oh, I'm going to use a registered agent, but I'll still register it myself. Well, the person actually doing the filing is what they call the organizer. So even if you use a registered agent and the registered agent's address, but then it comes to the section for organizer, it asks the details there. And it depends on the state, what all they ask for. But if you do it yourself, then your name is under organizer. Well, going back to the lawsuit,
you just lost the advantage.
Suing you, I'm just going to find your name in public record anyway. I'm going to presume that you have some ownership in that business because your name is organizer. Even if you're not the registered agent, your name is on there as organizer. I can still find you and connect the dots, like connect you. Like, it's not that big of a reach to connect you to the business if your name is anywhere in the filing. So when we do the formation for clients, we're a registered agent in all 50 states plus the territories. So we use our registered agent service address for that. And then we use our company as the organizer for your company. So our company name ends up being the organizer with our company address on there as organizer. So again, you have no association in public record. Now, I will say some states do require you to at least list the manager. Our company, we have a privacy by default promise. So if it's not legally required to provide information about you, we don't. But there are some states, like California is a state where you have to provide the manager's name in the filing. So in that scenario, we do have to provide the manager's name. But that can be anybody you tell us you want to be the manager. So if you personally don't want Mike Konrad as manager of XYZ LLC, you can choose another manager. And I mean, because we only provide that information according to what you provide to us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Also, Business Anywhere offers a multitude of services. You can set up an LLC. You can do you do like C corps and things like that as well, and S
Any
corp
type
stuff.
of entity.
Any kind of entity.
Yeah, company formations. Yeah.
Right down to mailing addresses, like private PO boxes and things like that. Right. I mean, it literally is Business Anywhere. That business name is quite literal in what you do. What other services does Business Anywhere provide beyond the registered agent and postal services and things like that?
Yeah, so the basic stuff: company formation, registered agent service in all 50 states plus the territories. We do have the virtual mailbox product. We've got many. I think we're not all across the U.S. now, but I think we have locations in like 30 or 35 states now. And we're adding a couple of locations every month. So I think by the end of the year, we'd be close to all 50 states by the end of this year, I think.
What's the advantage of using Business Anywhere or any similar type company versus just picking up a P.O. box at the local post office?
So a P.O. box, first of all, they cannot receive
packages.
Anything.
Like
Yeah, they can't receive packages.
UPS, Amazon. Yeah.
Right. They can't take Amazon, UPS, FedEx, DHL, any of that stuff. And they can't forward. They don't do mail forwarding.
Okay.
So whereas when we receive your mail, our team we open the mail, we scan it, we upload it into your dashboard. So like right in your dashboard.
So I can read my mail without picking it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You can read your mail, you can download it as a PDF. And then if there is a particular thing you need, like you get a new credit card in the mail or a package or something like that, you can forward that. We do forwarding worldwide, or wherever, FedEx, UPS, USPS, wherever they ship to, but we do worldwide mail forwarding. But it's also like, it's good. Like, it depends on your situation. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big privacy advocate. I don't like using my home address anywhere in public record. So I don't have I've never used a home address where I go to sleep at night anywhere in public record. You'll never find where I go to sleep. It's impossible because it's never touched the public record.
They're going to have to find you during the day. They're not going to find you at night.
Somebody's going to have to follow me home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not impossible. Sure.
Right.
You could maybe hire a PI to follow me around town until they see me go home. But even that, I'm in a gated area, so you wouldn't even be able to know exactly.
All of a sudden, Bobby's going to move tonight. I just gave away something.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Well, I do live in 3 different countries, so
yeah, you're going to be hard to track down. For people looking for Bobby, this is as close as you're going to get right now. This is it.
Right. But like a lot of privacy advocates like using virtual mailboxes so they don't have to expose their home address anywhere. It's convenient, especially if you're a traveler, like a truck driver or a full-time RVer, traveling nurse, or you travel a lot for work. It's very convenient to have one like point of contact for an address for your documents. Digital nomads, if you're familiar with that term, the digital nomad community, it's kind of a must-have in the digital nomad community just to have a virtual mailbox. It's also good, like different things, like for example, I have one client who's an engineer, and in order for him, so he's based, I think he's in Alabama. So if he wants to, let's say, take a job in Ohio, for example, he has to be registered in the state of Ohio. So he has to register the company to do business in Ohio, and he has to have that mailing address in the state of Ohio in order for him to actually, stamp a document like a engineer stamp. He may never go to Ohio, right? He may never set foot in the state of Ohio, but in order for him to take that job, he has to have some connection to the state of Ohio in
Yeah.
order to take on the client. I had somebody one time say they wanted I thought this one was kind of funny. They wanted they lived in New Mexico, but they particularly wanted an address in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because car insurance rates were cheaper
Yeah, sure.
in Albuquerque than they were in Santa Fe. So they signed up for our Albuquerque, New Mexico address, even though they lived in Santa Fe, only for the purpose of putting that on their car insurance bill, because it saved them a couple $1,000s a year on car insurance.
Yeah.
You
that'll
have
certainly-
it's hard to guess why people.
That'll pay
want
for
this
a
stuff.
that'll pay for a virtual mailbox. Real quick, we're about out of time. I have one more question for you. How do you define success, Bobby?
I love this question. Oh, I so much love this question because everyone has such a weird, different definition of success. And the mainstream is like, oh, if I have $1 million, if I make $1 million a year, if I make $100,000 a year, so many people define success in a monetary unit. And as I mentioned before, I'm not money driven personally. Like for me, money is, it's a game. Like business is a game, and the money is the scorecard for the game, right? I don't care. Like if I made $100 million a year, I'm still not going to go out and buy a Lamborghini because I don't care. But for me, the definition of success is when you are in the process of achieving your goals.
I like that.
That's my pure definition. If you set goals and you're working towards achieving them, in my opinion, that's success. If you're somebody who never sets goals, I don't think you can ever achieve success. It's like it's a little bit crude. My apologies. Feel free to cut this out if you want. But on the basketball court, what's at the end of each basketball court? Goals.
Backstop.
Right? You got your
goal.
goals.
Yeah, sure.
Your goals are on the end of each basketball court. What happens if you take down the goal? What are you doing? Literally all you're doing is running around playing with your balls.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
like I kind of look at life like that. If all you're doing is running around playing with your balls, like what is life? I think it's crazy people live without having a goal in mind, because mentally, if I have a goal in mind, like I'm here, point A, and my goal is here, point B, and I set this goal, whatever this goal is, like I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to bench press 250 pounds, or I want $1 million a year revenue, or whatever that is. If I set that goal and I keep it in the forefront of my mind, every decision I make, my subconscious takes me kind of in the direction of hitting that goal. If I don't have that goal in mind, what am I doing? Like I don't have anything. So for me, success is when you're in the process of working towards the achievement of your goals, because you have a goal, you have a vision, you have a path. And I don't understand how anyone can be successful without being on a path.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Yeah, I think that's a good observation, a good bit of sage advice. For my listeners or viewers who would like to get more information on global wealth protection or Business Anywhere, if you are watching this on YouTube, look down here where it says see more, and information on those two companies will be there. The URLs will be there, and you'll be able to get a hold of Bobby wherever he might be sleeping at night. He or someone from his company will respond, because he's not just running around playing with his balls. He is getting his goals done. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, go to that podcast app's show notes, and that information will be there as well. Bobby Casey, thank you so much for spending the last hour or so with me. I really appreciate hearing your story and hearing what life is like living in all these different countries and doing what you do. I really appreciate you spending time with me and my audience.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Mike. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. Thanks, Bobby. And continued success to you wherever you might be on any given day.
Same to you.
As we wrap up this episode, here are some final thoughts. Most founders start locally and only later begin to think about global opportunities, taxes, or asset protection. What we learned today is that thinking beyond borders is not just about saving money. For many, not for everybody, but for many, it's about designing a business and a life that may be more flexible, resilient, and aligned with your goals. Now, that's a wrap. Thanks for being part of our Reluctant Entrepreneur family. We've been very busy recording future episodes with fascinating guests, so be sure to subscribe to get notified when new episodes drop. And one personal favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, consider giving us a like and subscribe. Those two simple clicks really help us expand our reach. If you're an entrepreneur or know someone who would make a terrific guest, I'd love to hear from you. Visit reluctantentrepreneur.podcast.com to apply or recommend a guest. And of course, a shameless plug, if you're interested in my book, The Reluctant Entrepreneur, Anatomy of a Business Startup from Uncertainty to Unstoppable. It's available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon and as an audiobook on both Audible and Amazon. And to anyone listening or watching, if you find yourself stepping into entrepreneurship, whether by choice or circumstance, remember this. Sometimes the path we never planned becomes the journey we were meant to take. All right, that's me. I'm out of time. Thanks so much for being here. I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.